This is the next in our series called Rooted. We want to start this year putting down good roots in Jesus as a community and as individuals. And one of the ways that we stay rooted is in itself by being part of a community together. I want to share a little snapshot with us this morning from the life of Jesus. It's in Mark's Gospel, chapter 2. And just verse 23, literally one verse. Have you got it, Gabriel? Nice one. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields. And as his disciples walked along, they began to pick some heads of grain. And then some people are watching, and they said to Jesus, hang on. That looks like work. You mustn't work on the Sabbath. You're picking grain. And Jesus replies in verse 27, the Sabbath was made for man, for people, not man for the Sabbath. It's just a little snapshot, but it can teach us so much at the start of this new year about how we can stay rooted in community. Jesus loved wasting time with his friends. I mean, they're not going out to harvest, are they? These guys who are watching completely missed the point. This isn't about, okay, we're going to harvest this field. They're just going for a little wander through the fields, plucking a few ears of corn. I love this picture. Jesus and his friends. They're dallying. Jesus dallied. Is it just me that loves doing a puzzle after Christmas? I love that week between Christmas and New Year, and I just love doing a puzzle. So I was there with my mum and my son. We were working on this puzzle and just having the best time, just wasting time together by the fire, the Christmas tree. Mistletoe and wine. I'm going to break into Cliff Richard if I'm not careful. Cliff Richard's a singer. He's getting on a bit now. And then we pack up to leave Mum and Dad's home, and we're taking the puzzle apart to put it back into the box. And some of the bits haven't come apart, and I'm like, no, I'm going to make sure that every piece has come apart. Why? Because, well, it's pointless fun. It's unproductive. But it's just for the satisfaction of seeing some picture emerge. God dallied. God put his feet up. You know, God invented rest. In 6 days, chapter 1 of the Bible, in 6 days God created the world, the universe, everything in it. And then on the seventh day, he rested from all his work because he saw all that he'd made, and it was very good. It says God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. What does holy look like? It's hard to be holy all alone. Even in that sentence, God blessed. The word God in Hebrew is plural. If you're into grammar, I'm a bit of a grammar geek, forgive me. There's a point to it though. God is plural, literally gods, but the verb is singular. It's as if it's saying gods has blessed. It doesn't sound right in English. It's like something my 2-year-old would say. He's still working out his grammar. But the point is that our human grammar can't grasp God. God who is community in themselves. God who are community in himself. God is 3 in 1 from the beginning. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Holy, holy, holy. The Holy One. God could rest in himself and not be alone. And then God is born, a baby, into a family. And as Jesus grew, he drew around himself those who would be his brothers, his family, his new community. And these are the guys that Jesus chills with. These are the guys that Jesus dallies with. He walks with them. He delights in their company. He gives them the gift of his presence. I love Sundays. I love being together. I love being back in the round as well. I just love being able to see everyone. And I love what Norman Wirsba, the American theologian, writes about Sundays in his book on the Sabbath. He says this. It's quite a long quote, but I like it. I hope you like it too. Gathering together on Sunday is of the deepest significance, for in it we are empowered by God to extend the love that sustains and brought creation into being. When we offer this gift of love to others, we are really creating a space for them to become themselves and to most fully realize their God-given potential. In this work of gathering together, we mirror God's own creativity, which simply and without coercion lets the world be. He sits back, doesn't he? He carries on. Love is the space in which to expand, and it is always a gift. In this sense, we receive ourselves at the hands of others. To give love is to give the precious gift of nothing. To give love is to let be. I hope you had some time, maybe around Christmas, New Year, to just be with those you love. And even as I say that, I'm aware that for some people, that wasn't your experience. But you're here today. And maybe you're new to this church community and you're still settling into feeling family here. Stick with it. Sundays are family. After the service in St. Kenneth last week, I got an email from one of the congregations. She's just joined us quite recently, and she just called it Sunday Silence. That was the subject. And she said, thank you for making the space for us to have silence together. The kids were kicking off next door. But we just had a moment of stillness. And then we all went and had some leftover pasta bolognese with the kids next door. Sundays are family. Some people turn up here at 9:30 to chop some bananas, to do some hoovering, to do some guitar cables, or to kids' crafts, get them ready. But actually, they just want to hang out. Loads more turn up at 10:30, and we have a time of silence together. We just are in each other's and in God's presence. Then there's the 11 a.m. crowd who turn up and they want to grab a donut, they want to grab a coffee. And I know there's an 11:40 crew who wait until the kids have left, and they're like, there'll be some spare seats now. I'll come in now. It's calmed down a little bit. I know you're there. Not looking at anyone. And then there's the people who are still here at 2 p.m. tidying up after everyone's gone, and then going to grab lunch together down the road. And I love it. And it's what we're made for. When I talk to some people about having a day off, their face drops. Terror flashes across their eyes. A day off? You mean a day to do DIY? No, a day off. Oh, you mean a day to go shopping? Well, there's nothing wrong with shopping. But can you let go of your shopping list? Jesus' disciples plucked a few ears of corn, it says, as they wandered through the fields. And the Pharisees, the religious spies, they said, that's illegal. And he responds as if to say, surely you can see the difference between heading out with your combine harvester / sickle and going to do some harvesting on the one hand, and on the other hand, just picking a few bits of corn for fun. I mean, it's fun to peel off the outside bit, and then it's quite fun, and then you chew it, and then it becomes a sort of gummy thing. I enjoy it. I'm with you about the whole combine harvester thing, Jesus is saying, on one hand. Absolutely. I invented the whole concept of 6 days, do all your work, and then 1 day of rest. In fact, I invented the whole concept of the day. But don't make it a chore. It should be fun. Learn to slow down a little. Waste a bit of time. Try and relax. Yeah, but you don't have the commitments that I have. You don't understand what I carry. No, I'm only the savior of the world. I'm sure Jesus wouldn't be sarcastic like that. But do you hear the arrogance of saying we can't afford to take a day off because we've got too much to do? Can you hear that? Okay, that's a bit negative. But if a day off is good enough for God, I'm still learning this practice. I'm still learning, but I do find that walking in nature like Jesus did with his friends, I find going into the woods near where we live in Landoc, I just find it really helps me slow down, and I observe that God's creation just can get on without my interference absolutely fine. I leave my phone, but sometimes I get so frustrated on my day off, and the tyranny of the to-do list and the notifications, and they get the better of me, and I'm ready to leave now, and the kids aren't ready, and I get frustrated. I want to get this walk done. I struggle with that stuff. I'm learning. I found the poems of Wendell Berry. Wendell Berry is a farmer from Kentucky. He's turning 90 this year, and his Sabbath poems have really helped me. He's had this habit since 1979 of writing a poem on the Sabbath, on his day off. And I think for a farmer to take a day off, that takes quite a lot of self-discipline. Here's a bit from one of his earliest poems. The mind that comes to rest is tended in ways that it cannot intend, is born, preserved, and comprehended by what it cannot comprehend. Your Sabbath, Lord, thus keeps us by your will, not ours, and it is fit our only choice should be to die into that rest or out of it. And I'm scratching my head, what is he on about in this poem? What does he mean to die into that rest or out of it? I don't know, but it can feel fatal to rest, particularly if you've got people depending on you, if you're running a business. It takes effort to enter God's rest, the effort of letting go, the effort of giving way to God, of giving up even our lives. God has done the work. Just as God worked for 6 days and then rested, Jesus finished the job on the cross for each and every one of us. He did all the work that was needed so we can know rest. But the questions come up again, for so many of us. Oh, but I can't rest until I've got that, until I've done that thing that I've been meaning to do. It's for somebody else, until I've replied to that message, fixed that hole, prepared that meal, fill in the blank. And all that stuff is good, it's important. But there's a time to stop and a time to be with God's people. And we might observe then that it doesn't all depend on us. We might learn that we can never earn God's presence. It's a gift. If we're prepared to waste time with one another, just hang out, just have fun with this community that God calls holy, that God calls family, that Jesus chose to be the ones he'd hang out with. This isn't just about one day in the week. It's about our whole lives. Really learning that Jesus has already done it all for us, so we can rest. He's done it, so we don't have to. And our whole lives can be full of the joy, full of the delight and the wonder that God felt on that first Sabbath.